one intake in particular where we got an excellent risk assessment from our funder. We went back to the previous service provider to discover that the individual is actually quite vulnerable on a bus, and so we knew that we would have to apply for additional funding for that type of scenario. And that's where it ties into the right support being in place, where we need to make sure that the correct ratios are with the individual. Can any given individual share support with another individual, or do they need their own support worker? Or depending on the level of the risks that can come up, might they actually need two support workers with them at all times if they present life-threatening risk? And so that's part of the safety of everyone involved there, the safety of the client, but also for the support workers that are going to be there for those circumstances that can come up. And so in this particular case, I did go back to the funder to say that we would be requiring a little bit more support just to ensure that all the T's are crossed there. And we're glad that we did, because something else that we've learned through our intakes over the years is that whatever's happened in the past can come up again. It doesn't necessarily mean that it definitely will, but you need to plan for it and you need to resource for it. And so that is such a central part to safety, in that when things go sideways, you can only really do what you're funded for. So that's why those things need to be in place immediately, starting with the right ratio of staff. We had an individual who had undergone a surgery, and as a result of the surgery, he was temporarily wheelchair bound. He had so much frustration about that, because he was used to be able to walk on his own, and it was difficult for him to, though it was temporary, to be in a wheelchair. And because of his frustration, he would lash out from time to time. And while all of his support team over the years had known him to be one of the most easygoing individuals that never aggresses, he became so frustrated that he began to aggress. And so he began using objects in the environment against his support workers and things like that. So here we have some support workers who are encountering a situation with him that they'd never seen before. Thankfully, they knew from their training that if he's going to be using the broom and I decide to lock the broom in the staff room so that the broom doesn't come at me again, that's an emergency restrictive. My obligation there is to inform my supervisor that I've done so, fill out an incident report, and then bring the broom out of the staff room as soon as he's calm again. And so that's where the training in general covers off a lot of those unanticipated situations.
Yes, I worked one day with a client and I got up. I was working from 17 p.m. to 21 p.m. So the client wanted to go out for a walk at the park. So we're like, okay. We follow the protocol. We have to call on-call supervisor to make sure they're aware, they know our destination. Should in case anything happen, they're there to support us. So we went for that walk. The client decided that he wanted to commit suicide. So when the client was like, you can read from their body language and stuff like that. My co-worker, communication, I communicate to my co-worker, call the supervisor, call the police right away. There's something's gonna happen. Make sure you do that call. I'll be in front trying to pick out what the client is up to. So the client ran up the bridge. So I ran behind the client. I was ready, full speed CPI. So he wanted to jump off the bridge, but I was well trained. So I intervened and then I used my full speed CPI. And the police were there, my supervisor came and we rescued him and took him to the hospital. We're supposed to take our client out for a walk. So we did all our safety checks before out in bed. We had one new staff that we were training. So I had to use the bathroom really bad before we go. And so he was really nervous, so he kind of opened the door without me being there. So the client had to grab a clock. So our supervisor was there too, Everybody was nervous at that state. But we had to jump. Supervisor had to be like, everybody take a deep breath, including the client, deep breath. That redirection, taking that deep breath, help us refocus, and we kind of engage in a different way. So the client had some glass in her pocket. So when we intervened, we held her into a seclusion room, but we didn't really notice there was a glass. So the supervisor told us, just relax, wait with your floor holes. I'll go upstairs on the camera and watch to make sure everything is safe, to make sure she doesn't have any pieces that she can hurt somebody or hurt herself. So with the help of the supervisor taking that step, like from the knowledge that they have, we couldn't think that way, so kind of help us. So from the camera, she noticed she had put like a piece of glass in her pocket. So as soon as we left the room, our supervisor was like, go back and engage, it's not safe. We went back in and our supervisor kind of helped us, like, because she had the glass on her hand that hold the, like in a certain angle that we could hold the client so she could drop the glass easily. And then, yeah, we kind of did our first aid and everything, but without our supervisor, we could have been screwed that day, you know, because that third person watching over the camera and making sure no piece of glass, everybody is safe before we disengage.
Staff feedback is very important because they're the ones that can tell us how does it look in the real world. So every staff meeting we have a review of incidents, and we have a review of any existing risks. We have a review of any new risks that we may not have seen before. And then that way the coordinator or the team lead can then take that forward and decide, is there something else in the environment that needs to change? Do we need to change the way that CPI is done according to the instructor? Do we need to look at additional supports or something like that? Or in the language of occupational health and safety, is there some other personal protective equipment that might be necessary for a given situation? And so we only know about these things when the staff tell us these things. And so we have our lovely reports from the funder, the previous service provider, and the incident reports, but the best source of information is from the staff that are dealing with it day by day.